The last time we touched base was September of 2018, which is almost a year and a half ago. Hard to believe.
Yeah, hard to believe.
How have things been going?
Well, I think since that time, we've had, let's see, I'm trying to think, probably, what was last April, so I guess we'll be coming up on a year here, where Colleen had some physical issues that came up, and we ended up in the hospital. So I think we were in the hospital for 4 days, and very good patient.
Right.
And during that time, or right before that time, I felt like we were kind of coming down. The Alzheimer's seems like, we're kind of on a little roller coaster. We'll be good, and then we'll go down for a little while and be good. And when we hit those down points, we really got to be aware of if there's anything physically. First of all, that's what I'm looking at, anything physically going on, whether it be, your blood sugar, your blood pressure, anything. It ended up, we had a little GI issue going on, and then we had a bladder issue going on where she wasn't emptying. So that, there was pain there, but I think until it got truly what got very, very intense, she didn't voice that to me. So I was starting to see more of her things, maybe with her doing more negative self-talk. And so that's always something, that negative self-talk I will hear her almost up in her room when she's by herself fighting with people. And that always will alert me to start looking to make sure everything physically is okay. Then we go on to other things. So we had probably like a good, it could have been over a 6-month period of getting that all under control. And so that was a pretty scary time, because the GI issue, she was a little scared to eat. And so she was changing her diet, like wanting to only drink a Boost at breakfast time versus eating. But eventually we worked back into the normal routine again here, and but her body was telling her things, and so when she didn't want to eat and only drink, I had to listen to what she was saying to me with that, because she truly was listening to what her body was telling her. We still have those peaks and valleys, and I don't know why sometimes. Either once we check things physically, then I'll check to make sure things are okay at work. Sometimes, if I do pull her out of work for a week and we go up to Molly's house,
That's right.
Molly and Esteban's house, that's my daughter, and she'll be out of her routine of going for work. And sometimes that will make her, I guess the only way I can describe it is not being engaged with every day. Like I'll catch her when we're up there, and she might just be sitting there staring off at periods of time, like when she'll be working on her puzzles at the kitchen table, she might just be sitting there actually and not working on something. Or she'll be sitting on the couch and everybody will be watching a movie and she won't be engaged. Those are the things that I look for as far as mentally how she is doing. We just came through another period where it seemed for about 3 weeks we were struggling. And when I say, what does that mean when I say she's struggling? When she goes up to her room to go to bed and she's by herself. I can hear her upstairs yelling at the people with her self-talk, and really upset with them because of what they're saying to her, right?
Right.
And sometimes I come in your room and I say, tell them to get out of here, don't I?
Right.
And then I beat them up, right? And then I drag them out of your room.
Ain't it? You put my door on my neck.
And sometimes she feels like they touch her and bother your neck.
Stop and hurt you. I get my neck so
And
bad.
sometimes she's saying that they hug her and hurt her neck and everything. So for about 3 weeks, we were dealing with that. Everything seemed to be going all right physically. We had blood work done, and that was all good. But the other component was that she was not sleeping well. I noticed that, if I'd be up at night and just peek in, she was wrestling around. She was having trouble going to sleep. And so I talked to Janet about that. And we've tried to change the bedtime routine just a little bit. But again, the routine is the routine. And you got to kind of walk the line on changing the routine or leaving it. Because if you change the routine, you're going to cause more issues. We did end up, she does take medication to help her sleep. And so we just inched up on the dose for that, and it has been much, much better. She is going to sleep when she goes up and goes to bed. I would say she's asleep within 30 to 45 minutes.
Right.
She's getting up much more rested, because we were getting to the point where I was even doing a lot of her showering and self-care, because I had noticed that she was taking longer and longer in the morning to get ready for work. So I would kind of watch what she was doing where she couldn't see me. And I would see her sit there for long periods of time. For example, she puts...
Coming off.
What's that?
Eyebrow. Stuck there.
Your eyebrow?
Yeah, it was stuck there about.
Oh, your eyelash? But I would notice she always puts a couple different creams on her feet, and she would sit there with the cream, and where I could watch her.
No green, empty bottle.
Okay, I'll get you more. And she would look at the cream and maybe touch her head and look at the cream, and so about I don't know, a few minutes would go by, and I could tell she was really thinking about, okay, what's the next step? And that concerned me. And I noticed she wasn't rinsing shampoo out of her hair. I actually kind of peeked over the shower curtain to watch how she was showering without her knowing, and she wasn't even bathing. She would just stand there in the shower and maybe do a little swipe on an arm and wasn't doing that. It was almost like she didn't know the next step. So that was a very scary thing for me, because it felt like, okay, what's going on here? And then once the sleep improved, and then she's back doing her thing. It's very dramatic both ways. Where you're just going, are we really heading down the road that's not good? And then tweak one little thing and things kind of pop back up, which has been, that's kind of an amazing thing. The thing that we're seeing constantly is a couple things. The repeating is over and over and over. Just on if she's exercised, she may tell me that, I don't know, 5-10 times after she's done it. And everything, what she's eaten, when, gone to the bathroom. The other thing that is really getting what do I want to say, more intense is this no social filter. We will be out and you might see this in the video where we'll be in the middle of talking about things or you know, with somebody else, and all of a sudden an idea pops into her head and she's going to talk about it right then. Where before she understood that and, you know, was more appropriate with the social situation. So she may talk about having gone to the bathroom right in the middle of, you know, anywhere. She may, right in the middle of something, you're talking in a group or whatever, and she'll go, I need pickles. You know, so I kind of go with that. I don't say, you know what, don't talk to me about the pickles right now or anything. I don't belittle her for jumping in with those kinds of things, but I will say it takes patience, and I'm not always good 100% with patience, but in being the caretaker, you have to be patient with that. It isn't that they're trying to be rude and interrupt you. It's the thought is there, and they need to tell you that thought right now, I think, is my impression, before the thought goes out. And that takes lots of patience. So overall, I would say that the social filter is something that is probably a little more trying, and also the increase in helping at times, and I think all the time, with her physical care. The last component that I'm seeing a change in is her gait. It's more of being unbalanced. She's still able to do the stairs well at our house, but when we go anywhere else, even to Molly's house, which she's familiar with, she's getting or just much more careful on stairs, and that depth perception, she wants to hang on, even if it's one step or many steps. I'm seeing a progression in that. I'm seeing a progression in just her walking, and it almost looks like at times she's way off balance, where she's either leaning forward a little bit or it's a rocking back and forth, but it's a definite difference in her gait. But not to the point where she would need to help with like a walker or anything like that. And you know what, there is one other part of her care as I'm sitting here talking to her that I've become much more aware, and when she wasn't doing very well with her overall self-care, is her oral care. She's always been pretty good about, you know, brushing her teeth and doing all that. Not flossing, I've always helped her with her flossing, but brushing her teeth. But I did notice it was, again, kind of the swipe, where then she would have food pocketed still after she brushed her teeth and rinsed her mouth in the lower pockets and up here, which then I was concerned about her going to bed with those food pockets in her mouth. But again, as she's back, we're on that upswing, that's way improved. So, but that's something I check on a daily basis too.
Is there anything that you want families to know at this stage?
Again, I think the most important thing, because I have people, you know, family and my friends always asking me, and I think they're always like, oh, you know, how is she doing? And I'm always honest and say, you know, we're in a little down period, or we're good right now. But what I always tell them is, she's still so happy with what she's, with her friends, her work, her social activities. Again, that's what we focus on. We don't focus on what you can't or is a little more difficult to do right now. We focus on what's good. And I think as long as you can do that, every day's a gift, right?
That's right. I like my sister.
I like you too.
I love you,
I love you.
big sister.
Little sister.